Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is part 3 of What If Naruto Was the Reincarnation of Barragan. If you guys enjoyed this what if, and want to see part 4 of it, comment down below and let me know. The like goal for this video is 200 likes. So like this video, to let me know that you're interested in this series, and you want the next part. Check out my new videos of My Hero Academia what ifs in my second channel, and give it some love as well. Link is in the description. I have created a playlist for this what if, where you can find all the previous parts. Link is in the description. And go ahead and check out other what ifs in the channel. Before we start, please do support for more awesome content. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like, and also share this video with your friends. So let's start this video. With the rookies, you mean we have to take the test again? Because of Naruto. This is crap, exclaimed Kippa, as he just got out of the academy, and wanted to kick some shinobi ass now that the graduation was over. Now he had to go back and do it all over again. Not from what my father has informed me when he returned from speaking with Iruka sensei. I believe the term we should use to describe our situation is being cheated, since that was what was found when it came to our various tests being scored by the instructors marking us. Remarked Shino while he saw Kippa grit his teeth and Shikamaru sighing. Troublesome. I knew that things were going to be bad when mom came home dragging dad into the house with multiple bandaged lumps on his head. Though from what my mom told me during her ranting about making sure I was trained into the ground, only one of us benefited from all of this, added Shikamaru while glancing over at Sasuke, who let out a scoff, and brooding in silence until now. It doesn't matter. Even on your best day, I could handle all of you, and a few tweaks on tests won't make that much of a difference here, said Sasuke arrogantly. This isn't about tweaking a few tests. Ours were cleverly altered along with yours for different purposes. And it wasn't just a few. It was all of them. All the tests we ever took were tampered with, so the end results for our overall progress are tainted. That's why we have to take everything over again in the span of a few months, and even learn new stuff the academy didn't teach us. Though who they plan to use for that, I have no clue, but I suspect it's people who are experts in each field, concluded Shikamaru with Sasuke listening to the last part about additional training since of men getting stronger, and that's what he wanted above all else. What about Naruto? Is he going to be joining us? I heard he's been well indisposed of for the time being, asked Choji, who was munching on chips, and seeing his friend shrug his shoulders. Hinata merely blushed at the mention of Naruto, while Kippa scowled along with Sasuke and Sakura. Ino was well unresponsive for once, as she didn't expect to be put into an arranged marriage unless it was with Sasuke, and her father had to explain in painful detail on why this had to happen. Who cares about the baka? I don't. So annoying asking me out all the time. If he spent half as much time paying attention in class as he did on me, the baka wouldn't be the dead last of the academy, remarked Sakura with Shikamaru shaking his head at her statement and Shino's bugs were buzzing in annoyance to her words while Hinata scowled. Sakura, in case you haven't noticed yet, Naruto's tests were altered too, and for the sole purpose of making him seem like a failure to everyone. Truth is, if he had parents, or had a teacher, to help him do things properly combined with fair grading done properly with the instructors not being biased, I have no doubts he would have been Rookie of the Year instead of Sasuke, replied Shikamaru with Sasuke looking livid by those words, and got into Nara's face. You want to say that again, Nara? Demanded Sasuke with Shikamaru not looking away from the Uchiha. It's true, Sasuke. Everyone has pampered you up until now, while Naruto got the shaft in just about everything, yet he has the most potential. I've calculated the odds in my head since this little meeting of ours began. Naruto would have outclassed you easily like the Kyuubi outclasses all other Biju, replied Shikamaru with Sasuke moving to punch the boy, but was stopped by the hand of an adult, and looking up they saw it was a familiar face. That's enough from all of you. Go on home, except you Kippa, commanded Tsume while the other kids, minus Kibble, left since it was clear the woman wanted to talk to her son, and make sure he didn't do anything stupid in provoking Naruto. Her son didn't like the idea of his sister marrying Naruto, regardless of Uzumaki's now known unique pedigree. What is it, Mom? It's bad enough I have to go back to the academy again, but Naruto is going to marry Hana. Did I do something in a past life to deserve this? The guy was dead last at the academy. Do you know how embarrassing that is for me? You? Hana the clan? Asked Kibba with Tsume scowling at her son and growling slightly at his stupidity. First off, the boy's education was sabotaged. Far worse than yours was, I might add, and your scores were just barely above Nara Shikamaru, who was the second lowest in the class. The only reason he wasn't the dead last instead of Naruto or possibly you was due to his test scores making up for his lazy nature, countered Tsume, while not believing the Uzumaki Gaki was that bad, despite the pranks pulled. She still couldn't figure out how Naruto defaced the Hokage monument during the day, in front of the eyes of the general village populace, and wearing an orange jumpsuit. Then again, if the Nara clan was stumped on the matter, it was probably best that the question be left unanswered. He hinged himself into a naked girl during the transformation test, added Kibba with Tsume's eyebrow ticking slightly. Okay. That, Tsume would admit, was a bit bad, but considering the results got the male instructor to topple over wasn't bad, and was an unorthodox jutsu to say the least, even if she as a woman had a disapproving view on the matter. Still, it had an unforeseen factor added to the mix, and could be useful in getting out of jam, is surrounded by male-only enemy shinobi. And maybe a few secretly bisexual or lesbian kunoichi too. That aside, Kiba, this arrangement for Hana to marry Naruto in the distant future is not something we can stop, nor should we try, since the village as a whole would suffer, and I do mean as a whole. I assume you heard the story circulating through the village about Barragan-sama, stated Tsume with Kiba nodding, while looking away slightly. Yes, answered Kiba, since it was kind of hard not to hear them. Well, they're all true for the most part. Hiyashi's own father died, not that long ago, after making a fuss over Hinata being branded with the Hyuga clan's tri-stamped cage bird seal on her, among other things. Yurei-sama's arm and shinobi career is in serious jeopardy because of his actions against Naruto, who I'm sure you heard is rumored to be the Sanin's godson. That's also true, and so is the bastard not looking in on Naruto once in the last 12 years during the boy's suffering. Imagine what Barragan-sama will do to us, or what Naruto will do, when he awakens from within his mind, and finds out you decided to make unnecessary waves on the matter, replied Tsume with Kiba snarling slightly, but he relented, and decided to let the matter drop. For now. And the situation with Hinata-chan? Asked Kiba with Tsume raising an eyebrow at him. Hinata-chan? When did you have such an interest in the Hyuga girl? The Hokage had hinted at putting the two of you on a team with the Burame kid, but as far as I know you have never been interactive with the girl. Questioned Tsume with Kiba looking away, and it was clear there was more than friendship there. So? I can't show concern for my girl. Asked Kiba suddenly with Tsume grinning in a feral manner, and it was clear he slipped up. Your girl? Since when did my son form a crush? Tsume questioned with Kiba blushing and looking away with anger on his face to match his embarrassment. It's more than that. She's mine. My future mate. I can feel it in my blood, replied Kiba with Tsume still not looking convinced. And does the girl you feel this way for also feel the same way? Asked Tsume with Kiba sighing. No. Hinata has her eyes locked on Naruto Baka, and she gets all red in the face, before fainting when she is in close contact with him, answered Kiba before being hit on the head by his mother. Don't refer to Naruto that way again. His lineage is top-grade pedigree, since he is the son of the Yondaime and Uzumaki Kushina. The Uzumaki clan were nothing to sneeze at back at the height of their power, and it took 3 major shinobi villages to defeat them. 3. They numbered a few hundred, but they made up for their lack of quantity with quality in their skills, and Namikaze Minato was the Shodaime Hokage for a reason, Kiba. He had a flea on sight order in the bingo book, thanks to his actions in killing so many Iwa shinobi in the last war. The fact Naruto didn't do well at the academy was not his fault, and deep down you know it, Kiba. Perhaps Hinata saw what no one else did, or even refused to try seeing in the first place, when it came to the boy. Setsume was glaring at her son, and saw the boy was rubbing his head, while not liking the fact Hinata had eyes on Naruto. I still don't like it, mumbled Kiba with Tsume rolling her eyes. Look, I'm sure in time, Hinata will come to like you, Kiba, but as a friend only, and she will be a valuable teammate to have in the distant future, if you are still paired with her when the Genin teams are being made, said Tsume with Kiba frowning further. I don't care, if they are going to have an arranged marriage. I'm going to prove to Hinata that she deserves to be mine. She is my prize. My future mate. My future bitch. Thought Kiba while intending to outshine Naruto before the boy awakened in the months that followed their education. Konoha Bank. With Barrigan. Do you know who I am? Asked Barrigan while he sat in front of the very nervous bank manager with the sound of utter contempt clear in his voice, while moving his cane ever so slightly with his fingers. Yes, Barragan-sama, replied the shaking bank manager, who from the name on the desk was named Sasaki Tashi, and knew of the reputation the former Espada made for himself, since inhabiting Naruto's body. And you know of the person whom I am currently possessing? Questioned Barrigan with the man nodding quickly. Yes, Barragan-sama. Word has traveled fast around Konoha about you and the boy. It always does when it comes to important matters, replied Tashi, while seeing a few of the people in the bank looking at them through the window of his office. So, you know that I am here to inspect financial bank records. Records pertaining to the Uzumaki and Namikaze clan to be more precise, stated Barrigan with Tashi squirming slightly under his gaze. Yes. It is just, we weren't expecting you so soon. I know you have other affairs around the village, and I assumed your business here would be minor, replied Tashi with the former Espada not appeased by the nervous smile he was being given. I was looking over official bank records while at the Namikaze estates that were being held there 12 years ago, to the statements given to me recently, per my request I made to the Hokage. To be perfectly straightforward with you, Tashi-san, the numbers do not add up, and I think you know why, stated Barrigan firmly, and while he wasn't a genius with numbers, the former Espada lived long enough to do math, accounting, and knew when someone was cooking financial numbers that would leave a bad taste in the mouth of the one who owned the accounts. I might, replied Tashi before jumping when Barragan tapped his cane loudly on the ground, having heard the stories of what the former Espada could do with just that cane, but was fortunate that nothing bad happened when it did. And yet it was clear the entity possessing Uzumaki Naruto was not happy. You might. That's not exactly a ringing endorsement to me in regards to your value and the terms of your life being spared my wrath. It would be better for everyone if I just killed you now and talked to your successor. I'm sure he would be more cooperative when I asked him questions about these financial indiscretions, threatened Barragan with the man in front of him letting out a small squeak of protest. No, that's quite alright. I do know why the numbers are off, to be blunt, but you must understand that I didn't want to do it, and was forced to do it by higher forces than myself, answered Tashi quickly with Barragan nodding, though it was clear this news displeased him. Explain it to me and do it fast, demanded Barragan with Tashi nodding quickly. Yes, of course. About 12 years ago, a few months before the Kyuubi's attack, I was promoted to bank manager for my previous years of devoted and loyal service to my profession when it comes to managing money. I've always had a skill for it, and my services were always praised for what I could do. After things died down, I was suddenly approached by the newly reinstated Shodaime Hokage and his former student Jiraiya of the Sanin. They told me that I was to redirect certain funds from both the Namikaze and Uzumaki clan accounts in a discreet manner to another account. They didn't tell me why they were targeting these two accounts or why they wanted this done in the first place. They said if I didn't, they would accuse me of treason, lock me away, and I wouldn't see daylight until I was an old man. I couldn't risk saying no. I wasn't in any position to resist what they were asking of me, stated Tashi with Barragan snarling slightly. Do you have access to this other account they asked you to pilfer funds into when they first arrived? Asked Barragan with Tashi nodding. Yes. The account falls under my direct control in transferring funds into it, but they stopped draining funds from the Namikaze and Uzumaki accounts roughly 4 years ago. But the third account has been slowly gaining interest since then, and has become quite a lump sum, answered Tashi, with Barragan's eyes narrowing. Good. Two can play this game. Reverse the flow of money that was being sent to that third account back to Namikaze and Uzumaki accounts. The extra money earned during that time will also be added to each account equally, and you won't notify the Hokage of your actions when it's done until a few days pass, stated Barragan with Tashi going pale in the face at the mention of the Hokage. But Barragan-sama, the Hokage will have me arrested and executed for treason, exclaimed Tashi with Barragan standing up, and flared his power in front of the very frightened man a few years out of his life. The Hokage will be the least of your worries, should you disobey me, Tashi-san. I am a far greater enemy than the Shodaime Hokage ever will be to you in any given situation. Because I ask or die with those that will be dead soon once Senjutsu Tsunade returns to the leaf, countered Barragan with Tashi looking at him in shock. Tsunade-sama is returning to Konoha. I thought she vowed never to return after she lost all those close to her. Questioned Tashi with Barragan letting out a chuckle. She has one more person left in this village, even if the woman has no idea yet of that fact, remarked Barragan before leaving the office and the shocked man slumping in his chair. Hokage Tower. Several days later. This better be good, sensei. First, you send one of your summons to find me, and deliver an important message that according to the Chimpai should read immediately. Which I destroyed since I had no intentions of returning for whatever stupid reason you may have had to call me back. Second, I get another later from the same Chim telling me to open this one in his presence, and that the message I get in the scroll is barely readable writing saying to come back to Konoha with all being explained. Well, explain. Demanded Tsunade at the top of her lungs, as she marched to the door. Her assistant Shizune was quivering behind her with the Pat Pig doing the same, and just watched the very short-tempered woman kick the door open to the Hokage's office. Only to see the old Hokage that was her sensei and her former teammate Jiraiya, who she noted was injured, having a defeated look on their faces. There's a valid reason for your return, Senjutsu Tsunade. Sit down next to me so the old fool here that is your sensei, and your former teammate can explain it to you properly. Came the surprisingly mature voice of a boy with red hair, and a pair of scars on his face, wearing strange regal clothing, sitting in a chair opposite of the Hokage. Who are you? Questioned Tsunade while walking over to the boy, who had this look in his eyes that told her this kid was mature beyond his years, and to be cautious should she decide to provoke him. Sit. Please, commanded Barragan with Tsunade finding herself obeying the order. What is going on? What was so important that you had to command me back here under threat of using Konoha Shinobi to do it? Questioned Tsunade with both the Hokage and Jiraiya shifted nervously. Tsunade, listen to me before you jump to any conclusions about what I'm about to say to you, and that I only did it because, began Hiruzen before Barragan's spiritual pressure made itself known. Do not tell her excuses to your actions, Hiruzen. Tell her the truth, and tell it now. Or I will, and without holding back the slightest detail, that resulted from your actions, said Barragan in a threatening tone that left no room for arguments or compromise. What? What action? What the hell is going on? Demanded Tsunade while looking between them and wondering what it is that has her sensei nervous, with Jiraiya having a fearful look on his face. The same kind he had on his face when Tsunade caught him peeping on her in the hot springs and beat the sun in within an inch of his life. Tell me Senju Tsunade, what exactly do you know of your godson? A one Uzumaki Naruto, questioned Barrigan with Tsunade frowning at him, and then looking at the Hokage. He's dead. My sensei and Jiraiya told me the ceiling took too much out of the boy, and the fox killed him with its chakra. A final insult before its death that also resulted from the ceiling. Why? Answered Tsunade while seeing the Hokage flinch and Jiraiya now eyeing the window with calculating eyes on how long it would take for him to make a mad dash through it. Tsunade, what I told you before you left 12 years ago was a lie, said the Hokage with Tsunade's eyes widening in shock before they narrowed. A lie? Questioned Tsunade with a hint of anger in her voice. Yes. A lie. A lie I told in a moment of weakness, answered Hiruzen before a sound from Naruto's throat made by Barrigan was made. It was hardly a moment of weakness, Hiruzen. Not with the company you have been keeping since that day you were reinstated, remarked Barrigan with Hiruzen looking away for a second. Okay. It wasn't a moment of weakness, but the loss I suffered was key to agreeing with Jiraiya that you should be lied to about Naruto's existence, countered Hiruzen with the woman in front of him leaking killer intent at him. Why lie? Why keep him from me? Why? Demanded Tsunade while nearly rising from her chair as she looked at him with angry eyes. Simply put, they wanted control over Naruto. They wanted to control him, the Kyuubi, and more importantly they tried to manipulate a prophecy. Something that no one in their right mind, whether they are human, hollow, demon, or god should be doing even in the slightest. Something these two morons here thought they could get around on account of one being labeled the kami of shinobi, and the other being a so-called sage, answered Barrigan with Tsunade looking at him again, then back at the other two, and then again at him. Thus who are you exactly and how do you even know all of this? Asked Tsunade with the boy's face turning up in a small smile. My name is Barrigan Lysenburn. I am the former Hollow King of Wako Mundo, but more importantly, I am also the new and temporary guest within your godson's body that sits before you until the two of us merge into one, answered Barrigan with Tsunade now looking shocked and scared at the same time before she narrowed her eyes at him. Get out of my godson's body. Now. Demanded Tsunade while she slightly cocked her fist back to do some damage and hoped Naruto would forgive her for it later. That's not possible. The seal that held Kyuubi is doing its job on me. Something else that needs to be explained and what has happened in your godson's life that these two have allowed to happen after you left 12 years ago. Answered Barrigan with Tsunade pausing in her right hand's subtle movement and turned to look at her former sensei. What happened to my godson while I was away drowning in my sorrows? What did you two Bakas do to Naruto? What did this shinobi village, my grandfather's village, do to him? Answer me. Demanded Tsunade with Barrigan smiling fully now. I'll tell you Tsunade-sen. And when I'm done telling you every single detail of suffering your godson endured for 12 years of his life, you can decide whether or not they deserve to die quickly or slowly. Replied Barrigan with a cruel chuckle leaving his mouth. I'm listening intently, said Tsunade, as she blocked out everything and everyone else around her, while Barrigan explained everything to Tsunade in methodical fashion. The former Hollow King wasn't lying when he said there would be no sparing in detail of the suffering Naruto endured from the boy's memories, and even about the soul fragments of Naruto's parents inside of him, each acting as a fail-safe to keep the fox at bay as a last resort. How they were in him right now for the moment, being parents to the boy, making up for 12 long years of unintentional neglect, and giving the child the love long deserved before they were to be devoured into him. How they were displeased by Konoha's cruel betrayal, not to mention the Shodaime Hokage, and Jiraiya betraying them since neither of the two saw it coming. By the time it was over, Tsunade couldn't restrain the killer intent and let it fill the room while glaring daggers at the two people she thought could be trusted with her life. After hearing everything Barrigan just told her, Tsunade knew now that if she couldn't trust them with Naruto's well-being, then she couldn't them at all. And wouldn't be surprised if they had considered having a special team on standby to kill her in the event she ever did return to Konoha to find Naruto very much alive. Tsunade, please listen, I pleaded Hiruzen, but the old man's words were ignored, and could only see the blonde-haired woman looking livid. Listen. Like I listened to you the day before I left Konoha. Listen to the lie you spun about the boy being dead. I was weeping for months, and even years, after I foolishly believed that lie you told me. Weeping over the loss of a godson who wasn't dead, but probably wished he had been, and don't say that's not true. I've heard all the stories from other shinobi villages, and how they treated their own Jinchuriki with little to no civility, countered Tsunade with a fury in her voice that made the Hokage and Jiraiya sense knowing she was right. Hence why Kyuubi's last two chosen Jinchuriki were not known to the rest of the village for that reason alone, stated Barrigan with Tsunade nodding with her eyes closed now with her anger ready to explode. You know, a part of me actually thought that I should be glad my godson's dead, so he wouldn't have to face such a possible life in Konoha despite the fact I would sooner burn the Leaf Village down than let anyone harm him. Now I find myself back here, listening to the truth and the events that have followed it because of your arrogance and stupidity. The only reason I don't make Konoha crater right now is because Barrigan-sama here has already set terms I find fitting. With one exception I wish to add, said Tsunade with Barrigan raising an eyebrow. Oh? What condition do you wish to add? Asked Barrigan curiously. It's clear to me that my sensei is no longer qualified or trusted to be Hokage of the Leaf Village. To further ensure this never happens on my watch again, and ensuring that I can close to Naruto as possible, I am going to take up the mantle of Hokage, answered a determined Tsunade with both Jiraiya and Sarutobi Hiruzen, now looking shocked by this news. Barrigan just thought it over for a second before nodding. Agreed. Plus, I'm sure Naruto would love to meet someone with Uzumaki blood in their veins on your grandmother's side, replied Barrigan, since the fox's memories told him that much, along with his own brief time in the hands of Hashirama before being sealed away. Now wait a minute. Tsunade just can't take the mantle of Hokage just like that. Sensei is still physically fit, and his mind is still sharp. If you want to take the mantle of Hokage from him, Tsunade, then you better be ready to fight for it, and in front of witnesses too, stated Jiraiya with Tsunade grabbing him by the collar of his shirt. Gladly. I'm more than ready for a fight. I'm sober, I'm fully awake, and I'm pissed off. Let's take this to the arena for everyone to see right now. Let us see if Sensei is just as ready to fight for the mantle of Hokage like I am at this moment, replied Tsunade before she turned to look at the old man, and saw him looking grim. Even if he had more power than her, more jutsus than her, the Sandaime knew she would be fighting for the mantle with a purpose that would outdo his own, and Tsunade would win in the end. Even if he won the fight, Hiruzen could never kill her, and his injuries would no doubt leave him crippled beyond healing. He would have to step down, and then someone else would have to take his place with the councils, no doubt moving to have Danzo take over if not Jiraiya. Barrigan wouldn't allow that in the slightest and put his own input, using lethal force, to make his own recommendation being Tsunade, and he would no doubt win by a landslide in that regard. He was doomed to surrender to her no matter what. Take it, replied Hiruzen with Jiraiya looking shocked. Sensei. Questioned Jiraiya, who was thrown violently against the wall, and he let out a groan since his arm was in a cast in a sling. I couldn't stop her if I tried, Jiraiya. Even if I was successful in fighting for the mantle of Hokage, it would be an empty victory. Besides, there is no one else more qualified to take up the mantle, and we both know this to be true, replied Hiruzen with Jiraiya now struggling to get up. The councils will never accept this, Jiraiya reminded the old Kage. The councils have no say in this. Unless of course, you change those rules, since I have been gone, stated Tsunade with Hiruzen shaking his head. They have no real say in this matter, but that wouldn't stop them from voicing their opinion on matter and me choosing my successor, answered Hiruzen before taking off the hat and handing it to Tsunade. Let them bitch all they want. I don't care. All I care about is my godson, and fixing the village you two have been slowly breaking after the Shodaime Hokage's death, said Tsunade while wearing the hat, and heard clapping behind her with the source of it being Barrigan. Well said, Senju Tsunade. Truly someone worthy of being Hokage. As such, I wish to reward you with a gift to ensure a long reign as this village's ruler for years to come, stated Barrigan with Tsunade frowning along with everyone else. The gift? Questioned Tsunade with Barrigan smiling at her. Yes. The gift of youth. Exclaimed Barrigan, as his right eye where the one scar was located, changed from showing Naruto's natural blue eye to shining in a whitish light that locked onto Tsunade's form, and began the process of making the woman stronger again. By making her younger again. And boy did she feel it. What did you do to me? Asked Tsunade, as she felt younger and stronger than she had in years with the genjutsu over herself breaking to reveal her newly restored to his prime body. Simple. Originally, one of my powers was to age things ahead of schedule. However, it was after I devoured the yin half of Kyuubi, which was sealed unknowingly into the body of the Shodaime Hokage before his death, that I learned of the ability to reverse it. In short, I reverse your age back by 30 years, meaning you can now fight in your prime with all the knowledge and wisdom gained since that time, answered Barrigan before he turned to see Shizune looking shocked at this news. She's younger than me now, thought Shizune with her mental self crying at being the old hag between the two Kunoichi. Don't think I've forgotten about you, my dear. It's only fair I bless the student with the same gift I gave the teacher, stated Barrigan before he did the same for her in reversing the woman's age, but only reduced it by 10 years. And then did it to the pig just so they wouldn't ask him to do it later. That, and he was sure the pig would make a fuss, since the animal seemed as intelligent as it was pampered enough to make some kind of demand in its own unique way. Thank you, Barrigan-sama, replied Shizune well bound, Taunton doing the same, and the two mental versions of themselves were doing a happy dance at not being old hags of the group. He has that kind of power now. To influence life and death, thought Hiruzen and Jiraiya, while Barrigan gave Tsunade a brief bow. I will leave you to handle things here for now, Tsunade-sen. I know there is much to do, and I will be back again later when the transfer is official. We can talk about business at that point since there are matters I need to address with you about some things, stated Barrigan with Tsunade giving her own bow of respect to the former Hollow King before he was out the door and turned to face her sensei and teammate. Be careful when dealing with him and Naruto for that matter, Tsunade. Neither of them can be trusted, said Hiruzen with Tsunade grabbing him by the collar, lifting him out of chair. I'd sooner trust him and Naruto over you. To think, Minato along with Kushina trusted you, me, and Jiraiya to help watch over Naruto. I trust you and Jiraiya both broke. That I broke because you lied to me. And for what? All for some form of phantom power and control over one boy possibly being part of a prophecy that was neither clear or accurate in any way. Well, I'm not about to let you do anything else, and I'm sure as hell not going to let you try to manipulate my godson anymore. You're retired again, old man, though depending on what I'll soon learn later, I might just execute you for your crimes against Konoha, and make an example out of you. As for you, Jiraiya, I'll heal your arm, if it's still healable that is, but after I fix the appendage, I'm going to break every other part of your body, and then I'll slowly heal that too. Make no mistake, pervert, you belong to me, Barragan-sama, and Naruto when he awakens, stated Tsunade with both men not liking the sound of that. But then again, they weren't meant to like it. Naruto's mindscape, night of the Forbidden Scroll incident. Naruto awoke in a dark place, a dark dank place with ankle-high water, and rusty pipes above that made it look overall like a sewer. Groaning, as he got up from the ground, he shook off some of the liquid, and struggled to properly stand. Looking around in a sense of disappointment at his attempt of killing himself failing and being stuck in this place that possibly the aftermath. Or perhaps what he experienced was just a well-desired dream, and some villagers beat the crap out of him before dumping his body in the sewer. It wouldn't be the first time that happened, and no doubt they were laughing at a job well done in putting him where he belonged, like they felt they were doing with their abuse. I'll get them back one day. I swear it, thought Naruto while walking around and decided to explore his new situation, since he had a feeling that he would be stuck here for a while. Walking along the watery path before him, Naruto saw red and blue pipes all around him with new shadowy purple pipes, but they seemed to be decaying at the same time. It was strange to see so many kinds of pipes being multicolored, and the boy realized this was not Konoha's sewer system, since they didn't have these kind of pipes beneath the village. As he kept walking, the cold and deathly draft from one pathway suddenly caught his attention, and Naruto felt compelled to walk toward the source of it. When he arrived at the source of the draft, the Uzumaki boy stared at the massive open cage before him. Its once golden form it once had was rotting away, falling apart in various places, and it clearly looked like a shadow of its former self. Look what that guy did to my seal. Pure sealing perfection that held Kyuubi for years, and in one moment the new guy ruins it. Exclaimed a voice behind Naruto, who spun around to see a blonde-haired man and a red-haired woman walking toward him. Well, what did you expect, Minato-kun? Barragan-san did devour the fox and used its power to restore himself to his true potential. You make it sound like your sealing skills are unbeatable, said the woman while giving the man a slight glare. Well, I wouldn't say unbeatable, Kushina-chan. Though you do have to admit that it does rival Uzumaki sealing, answered Minato before being slugged in the face by the woman named Kushina. Uzumaki sealing will always be unmatched forever. Databane, exclaimed Kushina, as she shot her fist up into the air again, and then looked over seeing Naruto staring at them. Who are you? Asked Naruto while walking toward them. Naruto, is it you? Asked Minato, as he got up from the ground, and rubbing his sore jaw from the punch. I know who I am, but who are you? And you? Questioned Naruto with the two adults looking at him with a frown before looking at each other and then at him. You mean that, you don't know? That you weren't told? Asked Minato curiously while Naruto scowled. Told what? Who are you? Why are you here? Where is here? And what was in that cage? Demanded Naruto before he was bonked on the head by Kushina. Mind your manners, Naruto. I would have thought Tsunade would have taught you better manners at this point. Though considering her own habits, Shizune is probably doing all the work and being the responsible one in this family, stated Kushina with Naruto now rubbing his head and glaring at her. Who's Tsunade? And answer my questions, damn it, replied Naruto, who dodged the oncoming hit from Kushina and kept on glaring. Wait a minute, Kushina. Naruto, who has been raising you all this time? Asked Minato while Kushina let out a huff. No one. I've been alone all my life, answered Naruto with Minato and Kushina looking at him in shock. No one? What about Tsunade and Jiraiya? You got parents? Questioned Kushina with Naruto looking like he had been struck in the face. Got parents? I have got parents, was Naruto's response while the two adults frowned. Yes, Naruto, you have got parents. Though why they haven't raised you up until now is troubling to say the least. Is Sarutobi here and still alive? Said Minato with Naruto just nodding. Yeah. He's the Shodaime Hokage. Just who are you two and how do you know me? Asked Naruto with the two adults looking at each other uneasily before looking back at him. Naruto, I don't know how to really put this except that we are your parents, answered Minato, while pointing to himself and Kushina with Naruto sporting multiple emotions at this point. My parents? Questioned Naruto in disbelief. Yes. My name is Uzumaki Kushina, and this is Namikaze Minato. I'm surprised you don't recognize your father since his face is on the Hokage monument for everyone to see, answered Kushina, who moved to embrace her son, but the boy jumped back, and his face was livid with anger. My father is the Shodaime Hokage. That's flat out impossible. It's not true, stated Naruto with Kushina and Minato looking shocked. Why don't you believe it, Naruto? Surely Hiruzen, Tsunade, and Jiraiya will confirm it for you if asked. Questioned Minato, but got a glare from the boy, and it shocked him to see such anger aimed at him. I did ask. You know what I got from the old man? Nothing. Just I don't know, Naruto. I'm sorry. I'll look into it, but now is not the time to ask. Or some other crap. As for those other two, I've never met them, and as to why I don't believe you, my life has been utter hell in Konoha. If I was your son, do you really think I would be hated and beaten in the place that loves you? Countered Naruto with Kushina and Minato looking shocked by this. Wait, you're not loved in Konoha. Do the people know who you are? Asked Kushina as she moved forward again, but stopped when Naruto took several steps back and kept his glare on them. Yeah, they know who I am. I'm the demon brat, the monster, and the abomination of Konoha. I'm the kid they beat up on my birthday. I'm the kid they use for target practice. I'm the single most hated person in Konoha. Exclaimed Naruto with all the anger he could muster. What? That's not possible. Stated Minato, as he looked at Kushina, who was on the verge of crying, and the woman instantly moved faster than either male could track to find her hugging the stunned boy. What are you doing? Let me go. Now, said Naruto, as he struggled to get free, but Kushina held him tighter and started to cry. My son. My baby boy. I told Minato this might happen. I told him the village wouldn't honor his dying wish. Our dying wish, stated Kushina with Naruto now stopping his struggle to get free when he heard this. What I want to know is why it wasn't honored. Why is Naruto treated so badly? Where are Jiraiya and Tsunade? How does the village know of you holding the Kyuubi? Asked Minato with Naruto's body going stiff again. I hold the Kyuubi. Asked Naruto with Kushina and Minato looking at him. You mean you weren't told? Ever? Asked Kushina with Naruto shaking his head. No. I often wondered why I was hated. Beaten up within an inch of my life. I asked the Hokage countless times, and he just wouldn't answer me, answered Naruto with his two parents frowned further. And you haven't been in contact with either of your two godparents. They're hardly unrecognizable since they are two of the legendary three Sannin, replied Minato with the boy shaking his head no. I barely survived being at the orphanage. I was either eating rotting food or no food at all, and I was kicked out in the middle of winter during a snowstorm, answered Naruto with both his parents looking livid at this. And the Hokage allowed this. He let this happen. Asked Kushina with Naruto unable to look her in the eyes. I don't know. I don't think he's a busy man, said Naruto while scratching the back of his head. Naruto, the power behind being the Hokage of Konoha is absolute, with the exception of the Fire Daimyo. You are the single most important child in Konoha, and even more so for holding the Kyuubi. Something that should have been known to a select few, and two of them would have been your godparents. Why they weren't in Konoha raising you is disturbing to me, replied Minato before a cold chuckle was heard throughout the dark room. Correction. He was holding the Kyuubi, said a malevolent voice before an elderly man with scars on his face and looking like a barbarian warlord walked into the light. Who are you? Asked Naruto while Kushina moved him protectively behind her and saw Minato getting ready for a fight. I am the Kyuubi's killer and replacement in being housed in this place you call a mind. Though given how you have been abused, neglected, and taught next to nothing, it does not really surprise me that this is the outcome of what manifests for a mind these days. Replied the old man while walking further towards him. Stay away from our son. Commanded Minato while the figure just stopped and laughed at him. Protecting your son. Your only child. How noble. How honorable. It's been a while since I've seen anyone worthy of my attention. Most humans in your position would run and abandon their child to save themselves, commented the figure, while the two adults in front of him got ready for a fight. We're already dead. We're mere soul fragments left behind to act as a fail-safe in the event the fox would get free, while keeping all our memories intact in the event we did interact with our son. We have nothing to lose, by fighting with all our power to protect him, answered Minato with Kushina nodding in agreement. True. Under normal circumstances, you would be right in that regard. If not for the fact that my kind devours souls. Human souls to be exact, countered the figure and saw them both stiffen in fear. Human souls? Asked Minato with the figure nodding. I am a hollow. The former Hollow King to be exact. I guess you could say I was, well dethroned before my near death. I'm actually quite surprised to be alive. From what I am to understand, your Shodaime Hokage, his wife, Uchiha Madara, and Kyuubi, all had a hand in me arriving to your world many years ago when they all fought. I've been sealed away in the forbidden scroll of seals ever since I was picked up by the Shodaime, and was until today feeding slowly on the energy of the various Hokages that have worked in that office. You being one of them, answered the former Hollow King. And when Naruto put on your crown, replied Minato with his eyes widening. Yes. A near infinite amount of demonic energy was sent my way by the fox, who was in fact actually trying to expel me with his power, and he was quite surprised when it simply backfired on him. I've been going through his memories, and I must say he did not like being trapped in 3 different humans. His pride in being the strongest of the 9 Biju, and his anger at how he felt Konoha would use him to be their weapon was what resulted in his attempt to kill the boy prior to the sealing. Hence the woman here died. Being the shield against the fox's claws aimed at your only son. You have my utmost respect. Both of you, replied the former Hollow King. You still haven't told us your name, said Naruto, as he boldly took a step forward and ignored his parents trying to force him back. The figure let out a laugh. How very true. I only gave you all a title and it was a former one at that. My name is in fact Barrigan, and as I stated before I was the former Hollow King. As for what hollows are, they're tortured lost souls, who in turn, survive by eating other souls to fill hole in themselves that cannot be filled, and grow stronger for it. We also eat other forms of energy if it's consumable, and in my case I consumed Kyuubi's power along with his soul, to bring myself back to peak performance. In fact, I'm significantly stronger than I was before my near death, and could destroy Aizen, if given the chance, said Barrigan with the last part more to himself in an ear whisper. Who's Aizen? Asked Naruto with neither his parents knowing the answer. You don't need to worry about that boy. In fact, from what I've seen from the fox's own memories of this seal, and its purpose, you have little worry about as of right now in regards to your life, answered Barrigan with Naruto, Kushina, and Minato frowning. In what way? Asked Minato cautiously while wondering how the former Hollow King was able to understand his complex sealing method. Simply put, because of this seal's overall purpose, and as I am not only going to be the fox's replacement in being your tenant, I am also going to become you, answered Barrigan with Naruto looking shocked. Wait, what? Questioned Naruto while both his parents were stunned by this. The purpose of this seal was to do more than just hold the Biju within your body. It was designed to trickle its chakra as you call the energy of this world into your own system, and purify it, so your own reserves would in fact grow to immense proportions. Over time, this seal your father made would have allowed your body to absorb the fox completely into your body, and the two of you would have in fact merged with your mind being the dominant one. Now that I have effectively taken his place in every shape and form, I will now merge with you to your boy, answered Barrigan with Naruto looking floored by this, while Minato felt the same way. Kushina was smiling at her husband, but her smile did not reach her eyes, and the smile was the kind that made many men, mainly Nar clan men, try to run away from such a woman with that smile. They never do get very far. Minato-kun, you didn't tell me that was part of the seal design when you were preparing it to seal Kyuubi on our son. Why is that? Asked Kushina with Minato laughing a very nervous laugh. Oh well, you see I thought that with Kyuubi merged with Naruto would help the boy in the future when he was fully grown and a strong capable shinobi of Konoha. Answered Minato while his wife approached him in a menacing way as she was cracking her knuckles in a way that a certain blonde woman would do when she encountered a pervert in the hot springs. And turn him possibly into a half-demon fox in the process. Maybe all demon. Asked Kushina with Minato backing up with his hands up to stay off a big beating. Well, in theory it might have been possible. In my defense, I was rushing a bit with the fox's rampage, and rescuing Naruto from Madara, answered Minato in a pleading tone. Madara? As in Uchiha Madara? Asked Barrigan with the two adults in front of him turning their heads to look at him. Yeah. Why? Asked Minato seriously, while ignoring his wife's ever-doom-giving form still looming over him. No reason. Please continue, answered Barrigan while he was looking at the various memories still being sorted through him regarding the Uchiha. So, I become you? Or do you become me? Asked Naruto while ignoring his mother beating the crap out of his father. As I said before to you child, we merge into one being, but your own mind will be the dominant one, and therefore you are the one in control. I thought you would understand that fact since it's easy enough to figure out, said Barrigan with Naruto frowning at him. I do understand. It's just that for some reason I'm having trouble understanding things. I always did when growing up, answered Naruto while wincing slightly from a pain he was feeling within his brain. Barrigan felt it too, and frowned slightly since it was clear this was not normal. It was clear this problem the boy was having within his mind in terms of mental capabilities was something that shouldn't be happening to the boy at all. Using his own sensory-based power known to all rankers per square, Barrigan easily tracked the problem to another section of the boy's mind, and located the source of it being another seal surrounding the ability for Naruto to intake knowledge with the door shut, while wrapped tightly in chains. It was keeping that door shut with little room for anything to properly get through it, and upon further inspection of the boy's mind the former Hollow King found more. It seemed there were other parts of Naruto that were chained and locked tightly in place with the purpose of staying locked away forever. Wait here child, ordered Barrigan before he used Sunito to vanish from sight, and soon found himself standing in front of the various doors chained and locked heavily in place to prevent them from being opened. Frowning at the three doors in front of him, which read mind, hair, and aggressive anger, the former Hollow King focused his power to each object to make the chains rot. Sure enough the chains and the locks began rotting away before they were destroyed without a trace of them left. With the restraints on the doors gone, they all opened up one by one, and only when hearing Naruto's crying of pain did Barrigan use Sunito to get back to him. Naruto. What did you do, Barrigan? Demanded Minato while Kushina held her son and saw him going through changes. Your son had more than the Kyuubi sealed inside of him. I have found multiple doors pertaining to the boy, being locked heavily with chains. There were parts of him that had been sealed away to weaken and suppress his potential. Not to mention it was preventing the boy from ever thinking of retaliating against those fools in his village that would hurt him physically or mentally. Answered Barrigan while seeing Naruto's hair change from blonde to red, and his eyes, while in pain, showed a sense of sharpness and understanding things around him. Barrigan also saw there was anger in those eyes. Lots of anger. I hate them, whispered Naruto furiously while Kushina held him tight. Naruto, said Kushina while feeling her son shaking now with more rage in his body than that of pain. I hate them. They beat me, poisoned me, starved me, and tried to kill me multiple times, while those above I thought were trustworthy, left me to rot. Well, I'm not going to let them win. I'm going to fight them with all my being and make them pay. Exclaimed Naruto furiously while Kushina held him tightly. And I'll help you for as long as I'm here, my son, answered Kushina, while her son now looked up to stare with calculating eyes. You mean it? Asked Naruto with Kushina crying harder. Look into my eyes, Naruto. You mean more to me than this village ever could. I love you, my most precious of treasures. I gave my life to save you from Kyuubi's claws, so that you could live. I would do it again and more if I could, so while I'm here I will help you learn what you were denied by those in Konoha. Everything I know, I will teach you, and help ensure you're the most powerful shinobi ever, whispered Kushina into his ear, and Naruto closed his eyes while tears left his eyes. You promise? Asked Naruto with Kushina nodding. Of course. Uzumaki always keeps their promises, answered Kushina, while Naruto smiled at her and returned the embrace she was giving him. Hey. What about me? Can I get in on this promise? I may not be an Uzumaki like your mother here, but I would like to think an Amikaze can keep a promise too, stated Minato walking over to them, and hugged them too. Yes. Yes you can, replied Naruto, as he held onto them tightly, his tears flowing freely, and the pain of never knowing his parents while wondering if they ever loved him had been washed away. As touching as this moment is, we do have a considerable problem, since you two were not meant to linger in his mind for long, and thus you will leave him eventually. The only reason you haven't left is because time moves differently here than it does in the outside world. You have actually been sustaining yourself here longer than usual due to the fact Naruto is unconscious within his own mind, and thus focusing all his mental energies here that have kept you alive. If we are to have any chance of the two of you staying here for the need to time to teach the boy, I will have to take over and assert authority over the fools in this village. Though time is running short since even now, a few seconds here is minutes outside, and I'm currently keeping a large number of your village's shinobi in the surrounding at bay, by using my power to cover the boy's body like a shield. As it stands, the shinobi are waiting for the large pillar of energy I have released to die down, said Barrigan while watching this drama scene play out before him. They're not my shinobi. Not anymore. They betrayed my trust. They betrayed my wife. They betrayed my son. They betrayed the principles of the leaf in which this village was founded on, remarked Minato bitterly with the man looking at Barrigan, who nodded in agreement, and walked toward them, while summoning a cane manifest into his right hand in the process. I'm going to kill them. All of them. I don't care if I'm in the bingo book. I don't care if I'm feared or hated for all time for destroyed Konoha. It will all be worth it to watch them all die slowly. Exclaimed Naruto, as he tried to move, but stopped when his mind began to throb, and fell to his knees again. Easy boy. You are not ready for that just yet. 12 years worth of having your potential suppressed and removed is finally taking hold of you, while information that would have stumped your brain is now clicking into place. Furthermore, you will need to learn here what your parents are capable of teaching you what they know, and there is also the matter of my memories you will be receiving from here on out, while we merge together, reminded Barrigan while he stood in front of the boy and his parents. What do you propose then, Barrigan-sama? Asked Minato while seeing the old man give him a smile. Simple. I take charge of things until the boy is ready to awaken, and we properly merge together as one being, answered Barrigan with Minato and Kushina looking at each other, while Naruto just stared into the former Spada's eyes. Agreed, was Naruto's reply. Wait, Naruto. What's the catch? Questioned Minato with Barrigan shaking his head. No catch. The two of us are going to get a new lease on life when we merge together, my dear boy. Strangely enough, that will only happen by our lives merging together, and we'll be starting off fresh with a clean slate. When we merge, all my knowledge, powers, and abilities I had before my death will be yours to command in the span of say 3 to 4 months, depending on the absorption process. In short, you will become my heir to the throne of death. As I was once the former Hollow King, you will be the Hollow Prince, and like me, you will be ruler over all things related to death itself. Answered Barrigan with Naruto nodding, since his mind was allowing him to understand this. And those that betrayed my family. The Shodaime Hokage. My godparents. The leaf itself. Questioned Naruto with Barrigan smirking at him. They will pay. All in due time. Whether by my hands all yours, the point will be made not to mess with either of us, and understand that a price must be paid for their treachery, answered Barrigan with the boy nodding in agreement with his parents doing the same. There would be hell to pay for Konoha's betrayal. Thanks for listening. I do hope you enjoyed. If you want a next part of this video, like, subscribe, and comment down below, and turn on that bell notification, and also check out the other videos that I have created, and enjoy. See you in the next video. Peace.